In Los Angeles, Nick is on the phone with Victor, back at the ranch, telling him that Noah's left the hospital against advice and dismissed his guard. He reveals that his son has been having an affair with Sienna Bacall. If they're not together, it's possible that he's in real trouble. Victor promises to relay this to Michael Baldwin. Victor learns from Nick that Matt Clark is back. He wants revenge on him and Sharon and is using their son to get it. The mustache is stunned to hear that Matt is Mitch. They told Noah, but he kicked them out of the room and now he's missing. Mentioning that Detective Burrows may be on Matt's payroll, Victor will have Baldwin look into them both. Nikki, meanwhile, spots Lily at Society, and they have an exchange about Noah. Lily steps away to take a call from Maddie and admits she's been talking to her dad, who is trying to be the man they remember. Unfortunately, she says, it ended on a more complicated note. At that very moment, in Phyllis's suite, she grabs Ashby and says she wants this. Doffing his shirt, Cain begins undressing her, and they keep making out. They wrestle and throw each other up against the door before falling onto the bed to continue the grappling. After sex, Phyllis quips, "Slow burn becomes big fire." They discuss the event being a matter of when and not if, spar verbally, and joke. Cain asks, "What happens next?" She shrugs. That's up to him. They banter about the past, and Cain invites her to the shower. When she heads in before him, his expression makes it clear that he's been play acting. Find out why here. Cain searches the room while keeping up a chat with Phyllis, already in the shower. Finding her laptop, he tries to guess her password. When she calls out and he doesn't come, Phyllis creeps out, sees what he's doing, and returns to the shower, warning it's getting cold. Cain closes the laptop, sighing, and joins her. Back at Society, Jack meets up with Nikki, who gripes about Cain. Jack worries that he'll reel Lily back in. Across the room, Lily tries to convince her daughter that her father's not all bad. It doesn't work. Meanwhile, Jack complains to Nikki about Victor. Will she stand by him if he damages people she cares about? At some point, she's complicit. Nikki vows she'll do what she can to keep him from harming Jabot. Jack needs to know that the company his father built will last, and warns that Victor better be careful this doesn't all come back to bite him. They'd both like to have another truce between their families. At the ranch, Victor welcomes Lily, who asks point-blank if he stole Cain's program and notes how relaxed he seems, concluding that she's right. The mustache is surprised to hear that she's grateful, but warns that the program is very dangerous and should be destroyed. Using it would be very evil. Victor assures her he wouldn't go after Winters Inc. But admits Jabot is a different story. Adam arrives, so Lily leaves. Victor and Adam marvel that she's somehow sympathetic to Ashby now. Talk turns to Matt Clark, and Victor fills his younger son in on the maniac. The mustache wants him to compile a list of Clark's crimes and find out how he became Mitch Bacall. Adam offers to back up Nick in LEA, which pleases Victor, though he tells him to hold off. Adam then updates Victor that Billy and Sally's funding is coming from Jill. In Los Angeles, Nick and Sharon reconvene in a hotel room to update each other. They're sure Noah and Sienna are together, or Matt has one or both of them, and he wants them to pay. Nick decides to get a hold of the cop. When Burrow calls him back, he arranges to meet, but tells Sharon she can't go with him. At the ranch, Victor marvels at Jill backing Billy's Abbott communications. Adam wonders if Victor can convince her to cut the funding. Then they can sabotage the launch. Victor muses, "While the Abbotts deal with the fallout, I'm going after Jabot." At the club, Lily looks at her phone, thinking about contacting Cain as she flashes back to him saying he'll do anything to get her back. She decides against it and heads for the door, just in time to see Cain and Phyllis come down the stairs together, holding hands. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless scoop for Tuesday, November 18th, reveals Lily Winters will find out a heartbreaking truth about Cain Ashby. Also coming up, Nikki Newman will catch up with Jack Abbott. Plus, Nick Newman will have shocking news Victor Newman, and Phyllis Summers will be on to Cain. Y&R spoilers tease Nikki will meet Jack at Society. They'll have lunch, and Jack will needle her about Victor. She'll say one thing is certain: he and Victor will dance until they drop. "It's not a dance, it's a knife fight," Jack will reply. Talk will turn to Diane Jenkins, and Nikki will ask how she is these days. Has she shown her true colors, or is she still playing the long con? Jack will make a face, and Nikki will smile. She'll assure her dear friend she'll always do what she can to stop Victor from targeting Jabot. Over at another table, Lily will call her daughter. She'll have a fairly heated conversation with her about Cain. Lily will tell Maddie her father's really trying to be the man they all used to know. Then she'll have a series of flashbacks about Cain begging for forgiveness. "Time to prove that you mean it, Cain," she'll say to herself as she gets up and leaves the restaurant. Meanwhile, Nick will put in a call to his father. He'll say Noah Newman checked himself out of the hospital. Nick will add that his son has been having an affair with Sienna Bacall. "There's a good possibility that Noah's in real trouble, Dad." Victor will say Noah's a strong boy, but then Nick will tell him Matt Clark is back. Victor will be shocked. "I thought he was rotting in hell," he'll say. Nick will tell him Matt wants revenge against him and Sharon Newman, and he's using Noah to get it. He'll explain that Matt is going by Mitch Bacall, and Noah's been seeing his wife. Victor will ask what he can do. And Nick will ask him to have Michael Baldwin look into a detective bureaus. After he hangs up, Sharon will show up and she'll be frantic about Noah's whereabouts. "I think we have to assume that Matt has our son," Nick will say. He'll call Burroughs and arrange to meet with him. Sharon will want to go with him, but Nick will say he has to go alone. Back at the ranch, Lily will show up. She and Victor will make some pleasant small talk until Lily asks if he stole Cain's program. "Are you the one with all the power now?" But she won't berate him for it. Instead, she'll say she's grateful. "This theft was a wake-up call for him. He said he learned his lesson," Lily will add. But she'll also say the program is very dangerous and should be destroyed. Then Adam will show up and Lily will exit. Victor will ask his son to dig for details on Matt Clark. Adam will agree to it, then he'll say he found out who's funding Abbott Communications, Jill Abbott. "Can you convince her to cut the funding?" Adam will ask. Victor will say he'll do his utmost. "We're going to cut the funding right during the launch," Adam will reply. Victor will say when the Abbotts are dealing with the fallout, he'll go after Jabot. In Phyllis's hotel suite, she'll rip Cain's shirt off as they make out. He'll return the favor by sliding Phyllis's dress from her shoulders. Eventually, they'll fall onto her bed and have sex. Afterwards, Cain will ask what happens next. "It's up to you," Phyllis will reply. So, he'll order room service, a chocolate soufflé. Phyllis will kiss him and head to the bathroom for a shower. Then Cain will search the room for her laptop, and he'll find it. However, he won't be able to figure out the password. Phyllis will peek around the corner and see what Cain is doing, but she won't confront him. Finally, Lily will conveniently end up at the GCA's, just in time to see Cain and Phyllis coming down the hotel room stairs, hand in hand. They'll be giggling until they see a devastated Lily standing at the entrance. So, has Cain blown the last chance he had with Lily? Keep reading the Soap Scoop for Young and the Restless spoilers and news, and make sure to also join our Y&R Facebook group or leave us a reply in our comments section. But if you miss an episode, don't fret. You can watch The Young and the Restless online at cbs.com. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, have Victor helping Nick retaliate against Matt, Jack interrogating Nikki, and Phyllis and Cain turning up the heat. Victor Newman is always making his presence known in the lives of his children. That's certainly not always a bad thing. Sure, his kids might not appreciate Victor throwing in his 2 cents when it comes to their love lives. However, it certainly is helpful to have a powerful mogul on your side when villains from your past, whom you thought were dead, come back into your lives. On Tuesday's show, watch for Victor to help Nick retaliate against Matt Clark. Nick's capable of taking Matt on himself, but other dynamics are at play. Nick's worried about his son, Noah, who's mixed up with Matt's wife, Sienna. Jack Abbott and his ex-wife, Nikki Newman, gave marriage with each other 2 shots, but both ended in divorce. However, they have maintained a cordial friendship despite Nikki's true love, Victor wanting to destroy his life. On Tuesday's show, watch for Jack to interrogate Nikki. He's likely going to want to know what the deal is with Victor having Cain's AI program. The software could destroy J-Bot, but would Victor truly do that because his daughter Abby's mother is Ashley Abbott and is invested both financially and emotionally in her family's company? Soaps are all about romance, passion, and heat between couples. On Tuesday's episode of Y&R, watch for Cain and Phyllis to turn up the heat. Is Phyllis truly attracted to Cain, or is she using him to throw suspicion off of herself as the person who stole the artificial intelligence software? Does Cain want to make Phyllis the woman in his life, or is he trying to nail her for stealing the program that Victor has used to attack his company? The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, November 19th, reveal that Audra Charles will plot revenge, while Claire Newman gets disturbing news. Lily Winters will also connect with Holden Novak, so some surprises are in store on Wednesday's Y&R episode. For starters, Claire will have a conversation with Nikki Newman that involves a lesson on the past. Nikki will reflect on some history and give Claire updates, so we'll see if this is about the Newman-Abbott feud or leaked secrets regarding Matt Clark, aka Mitch Bacall. Either way, Claire should be pretty troubled over what she learns. Nikki's info could provide a bit of a distraction from Claire's own feud with Audra, but Audra certainly won't forget about it on Wednesday's show. In fact, it looks like Audra will be busy plotting revenge now that Claire's made threats against her. Of course, Audra will have to be careful since Claire knows at least part of the story of what happened in Los Angeles. The goal will be to neutralize Claire and make sure the rest of the story doesn't come out, but Audra won't mind getting a little payback in the process. Over with Lily, she'll be hurt after spotting Cain Ashby and Phyllis Summers coming downstairs at the GCAC together. Lily may take some jabs at Cain after correctly assuming that he's been getting passionate with Phyllis in her suite. However, Lily won't have all the facts, since Cain's real motive was apparently to get Phyllis's guard down. Cain wanted to search for proof that Phyllis was the AI program thief by breaking into her laptop, but he came up empty. Regardless, Cain still took Phyllis to bed, and will have to live with what that means for his attempt to reunite with Lily. It turns out Lily will find a commiserating partner on Wednesday's episode, so look for her to form a connection with Holden. Holden and Lily may bond over drinks, as well as the loss of Damian Cain and their latest romantic setbacks. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Lily and Holden will be intrigued by each other, so stay tuned to see if they might sizzle next. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Nick Newman and Detective Annie Stewart may team up, so they could work together to expose dirty Detective Burrow and find Matt Clark, aka Mitch Bacall's hostages. Nick and Sharon Newman were suspicious of Detective Burrow from the very beginning, but now they're more concerned than ever about him secretly working for Matt. Sharon and Nick are eager to find a detective who isn't being paid to do Matt's dirty work, so that may be where Detective Annie Stewart comes in. Detective Stewart will join this Y&R storyline starting November 20th, which is also when Nick will go on the hunt for some intel. Unlike Detective Burrow, it sounds like Detective Stewart will be the one to provide some genuine police help. Nick may take his concerns about Burrow to Stewart and get confirmation that he's up to no good. Perhaps Detective Burrow is already on Detective Stewart's radar when it comes to shady activities. Whatever the case, Nick may join forces with Stewart on a plan to back Burrow into a corner and put a stop to his side hustle working for Matt. Of course, Burrow may be the only one besides Matt who knows where Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall are, so Stewart and Nick may have to be careful here. However, there's the potential for Burrow to surrender information if he's offered a deal and a chance to save himself. Burrow might be the one to give up Sienna and Noah's captivity location in the end. Noah and Sienna will indeed find themselves stuck somewhere thanks to Matt's plot, as well as Burrow's cooperation. Sienna and Noah might try to find an exit route on their own, but there's no guarantee they'll be able to flee without some assistance. Nick and Detective Stewart could work together on Noah and Sienna's rescue, especially if Burrow cracks under the pressure and supplies info that leads to their location. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Detective Stewart may become a pivotal part of the story and uncover important news related to the case, so stick with us for updates on her part in all this. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, November 18th, reveals that Phyllis Summers will catch Cain Ashby snooping on her laptop before Lily Winters faces a crushing blow. At Society, Lily will have a brief encounter with Nikki Newman before she talks to Maddie Ashby over the phone and gives her a nudge toward forgiving Cain. Nikki will meet with Jack Abbott soon after, so he'll express concern about her being complicit in Victor Newman's destructive plans and caught up in the fallout. At the ranch, Nick Newman will give Victor updates on Noah Newman checking himself out of the hospital and will admit he's been having an affair with Sienna Bacall. Nick will also come clean about Matt Clark somehow returning from the grave and resurfacing as Mitch Bacall. Victor will agree to do more investigating and look into Detective Burrow since Nick will believe he's on Matt's payroll. There'll be fears about Matt being behind Noah's disappearance, so Nick will discuss those with Sharon Newman when she reconvenes with him. Nick will eventually get Detective Burrow on the phone and set up a meeting to discuss his fears that Noah might be at risk again. Sharon will want to tag along, but Nick will shut down that idea. Back in Genoa City, Lily will visit Victor and try to pry the truth out of him regarding the AI program attack on Cain. Although Lily will like the fact that it gave Cain a wake-up call, she'll still seem worried about Victor's intentions. Adam will interrupt on Tuesday's Y&R episode, but Lily will suggest they were wrapping things up anyway. Once Lily is gone, Victor will give Adam all the latest Matt news and a brief history lesson. Victor will want Adam to compile a list of Matt's past crimes and figure out how he became Mitch Bacall. Adam will express his willingness to give Nick backup in Los Angeles if need be, so Victor will appreciate the show of family loyalty. The conversation will shift to Adam digging into Billy Abbott's new investor. After following the money trail to Hong Kong, Adam will admit he figured out Jill Abbott is the one funding Abbott Communications. Victor will plan to convince Jill to pull the funding, so Adam will think they can deliver that curveball to Billy at the upcoming launch party. Once the Abbotts are dealing with the aftermath, Victor will intend on using the distraction to target Jack and Jabot. In Phyllis's suite, she'll strip down with Cain for some passion. After Cain and Phyllis flirt in bed afterward, he'll suggest continuing their conversation in the shower. Once Cain sends Phyllis in first, he'll act like he's busy ordering a chocolate soufflé from room service. Cain will buy some extra time by suggesting he has to call back over forgotten whipped cream. That'll give Cain a chance to snoop on Phyllis's laptop, so he'll mull over what a hacker's password would be. Cain will take too long, so Phyllis will end up peeking around the corner and catch what he's really up to. Phyllis won't let on like she saw anything, so Cain will eventually give up and join her in the shower. A little later, Lily will enter the GCAC and see Cain laughing with Phyllis as they come down the stairs holding hands. The Young and the Restless spoilers say that'll leave Lily looking crushed as she locks eyes with Cain, so stay tuned. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 3 weeks, November 17th to December 5th, reveal that evil Matt Clark, aka Mitch Bacall, will ultimately hit Genoa City, so Sharon Newman and Nick Newman will be unable to contain the threat. The week of November 17th to 21 will bring Victor Newman in as backup for Nick, who'll need some help taking Matt down. Nick will do some investigating and try to score enough dirt to put Matt in his place, while Victor plots against him as well. Sharon will have a bit of a freakout when Matt shows up at her hotel room, but she'll gather her courage and take a firm stand against him anyway. As for Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall, it seems they'll find themselves held hostage together thanks to Matt and Detective Burrow's upcoming moves. Another detective named Annie Stewart will soon get involved, so it's possible she'll help with the search for Sienna and Noah in the end. Back in Genoa City, Cain Ashby will get hot and heavy with Phyllis Summers, while Lily Winters mulls over Cain's transformation and whether a reunion is possible. However, Lily and Holden Novak will end up having a little pity party for themselves later. That could lead to Holden and Lily connecting romantically, depending on where Y&R's going with this. Regardless, Holden will feel caught in the middle of Clare Newman and Audra Charles's feud, which will bring more fierce warnings and a sneaky plan from Audra soon enough. Next, Christine Blair will get ready to walk down the aisle as her wedding to Danny Romalotti begins on November 21st. This 2-part ceremony will continue on November 24th, so there'll be plenty of time for wedding day drama. Problematic Phyllis may cause troubling news for Danny and Christine as the week of November 24-28 gets underway. Y&R spoilers say Nina Webster and Gina Roma will serve as guests along with other familiar faces at this long-awaited event. No matter what hurdles are ahead, Christine and Danny will indeed seal the deal with some emotional vows. As for Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter, their upcoming performance will inevitably lead to more flying sparks. Will Tessa and Daniel land in bed together after the wedding reception wraps up? The week of December 1 to 5 may finally bring Sharon, Nick, and Noah home to Genoa City, but the threat of Matt's revenge will follow. Sienna will head to GC2 and will presumably continue her romance with Noah, so she'll remain involved in all this. Although Nick and Sharon will think they've successfully defeated Matt, he won't be done wreaking havoc. Matt will head to Genoa City next and deliver some of his most crushing blows yet, so they'd better be prepared for anything. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Matt will prove he's a wicked force to be reckoned with. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that disgusted Lily Winters will leave town over Cain Ashby's Phyllis Summers mistake. Will Lily reject her ex's plea and declare she's done with Cain for good? The countdown is on when it comes to Crystal Khalil's maternity leave, so fans are eager to see how Y&R might write Lily out for a bit. The show may be opening up an easy exit path for Lily based on the latest Cain and Phyllis developments. After all, it was a little odd when Lily suddenly started defending Cain out of the blue and showing compassion that she wasn't really showing before. The real reason for that may have been to set Lily up for a disappointment that could drive her right out of Genoa City. It's possible some of the sparks between Cain and Phyllis are real, but they're definitely manipulating each other. After getting passionate in the November 18th episode, Phyllis spied on Cain as he tried to guess her password and sneak on her laptop to find proof she stole the AI program. Of course, Phyllis didn't tell Cain what she saw and let him continue their passion in the shower. Lily later saw the pair coming downstairs together looking like a happy couple, which Cain definitely didn't plan on. Since Cain was so willing to jump in bed with Phyllis for whatever reason, Lily may decide she's done entertaining the idea of a second chance. Part of Lily wanted to believe that maybe Cain was right about their next chapter, but Cain may have just thrown cold water on that fantasy by sizzling with Phyllis. Even if Cain tries to explain his manipulation, that may not change Lily's mind. Cain might plead with Lily to understand, but she may reject his games and decide she needs to put some distance between them. This could lead to Lily taking an extended vacation from Winters and spending some time with the twins off-screen. Even if Lily continues working, she could do it remotely and perhaps focus on a project outside of GC. Regardless, Lily may be so disgusted with Cain that she decides to leave town temporarily. Lily can come back after Crystal Khalil's maternity leave is over, but she needs a reason to exit in the meantime. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest Cain's Phyllis screw-up may tie in with Lily's departure strategy, so stay tuned for updates on the bad news that may be headed his way. The Young and the Restless viewers, who've been to many Y&R weddings over the decades, know that it's bad luck for the groom to see the bride in her gown before the big day, just like in real life. So, let's hope Danny Romalotti doesn't check out this story in which the gown that his bride, Crickett Williams, will be wearing is revealed. Fans of Y&R were invited to vote on which gown Crickett, played by Laura Lee Bell, would wear at her wedding to Danny, portrayed by Michael Damian. First, viewers saw the gowns that Bell considered, but that didn't make the top 3. Then, they voted on the top 3. And then, they voted between the top 2 choices. Now, People is breaking the news on which gown won and will be seen later this week when the bride has her big day. First of all, to be able to dress Chris, aka Lauralee, was a dream. We really wanted to do a bodycon, a rock and roll, and a little bit of over the top, explains Mandy Line, Y&R's costumer. Wedding week is here, enthused Belle. After all the voting, dress number 1 won. Thank you, @people, for breaking the news, and @Brienne Tracy for the wonderful story. Great job, everyone, and there will be so many fun parts of the wedding that you won't want to miss on Friday. Thank you, @Mandeline, and your team for all the incredible work. Thank you for the beautiful gown @P. Canones and @DQ Bridal Official. Belle added. Danny and Crickett's love story goes back to the mid-1980s when the Jabot model fell for the rock star. They fell in love and were married in Nainidadi in Hawaii. The couple had a few years of wedded bliss before Phyllis Summers sank her claws into Danny while he was appearing on Broadway in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Danny broke up with Crickett via overnight letter. Phyllis ran over Chris and Paul with a rental car to make sure that Danny and Chris would never get back together. It took over 30 years, but now, Crickett and Danny are set to retie the knot. On the Monday, November 17th episode of The Young and the Restless, Audra and Clare clashed. Lily defended Cain, and Cain moved on. At Crimson Lights, Clare bumped into Holden, and they hugged. An awkward silence followed, and she remarked that she wasn't used to him being speechless. He countered that he'd never seen her order such a large coffee at that hour. Clare revealed that she wanted to finish reading a galley proof that night. Holden offered to let her get back to work, but she thought they needed to talk about what had happened in Los Angeles. Holden joked that he and Clare could say what happened in Hollywood stayed in Hollywood, but she didn't want things to be weird between them. She reiterated that going to California had been about figuring out who she was and what she wanted, but she wasn't done looking for answers. Clare raved about the fun she'd had in LA with Holden, who'd let her be herself and made her feel safe. She admitted that she hadn't expected what had happened between them on Halloween, but she still had no regrets. Holden assumed that Clare wanted to go back to her old life with Kyle, but she confirmed that she and Kyle weren't getting back together. She added that she also wasn't ready to jump into another relationship, and she didn't know if what had happened on Halloween would happen again. Holden respected that Clare wasn't ready for anything serious, although he was a little disappointed. Holden suspected that Clare was pulling back from their friendship because of what he'd told her about his history with Audra. Clare assured him that she had no right to judge someone else after what she'd almost done to her own family, and she surmised Holden regretted what he'd done. Holden hesitated to respond, and Clare observed that he didn't seem sure. Holden explained that it felt like Clare was watching for him to mess up when he was trying to be open with her. He pointed out that he'd taken a risk by telling her what had happened with Audra, but Clare contemplated whether there was more to the story. Audra entered the coffee house and found it sweet that the two were canoodling over coffee. She imagined LA had been exciting, and she feigned sympathy for Kyle, who'd lost his girl to a stone-cold player. Clare knowingly bet that LA had been even more exciting for Audra back in the day, and she mentioned that Holden had taken her to the shadow room. Holden tried to convince Clare to leave with him, but Clare pointedly said she had a lot of work because she had a job. Audra chalked it up to nepotism, and the women exchanged barbs. Clare contended that she could change things with one phone call, and she ordered Audra to stay out of her way. Audra warned that she had no problem crossing any boundary to get Clare to shut up. Clare taunted that Audra had no job or family, just her mouth and empty threats. Audra threatened to mess up Clare's pretty face, and Clare lunged at her. Holden intervened and told Clare it wasn't worth it. Clare noted that Audra hadn't answered her question, and Audra seemed confused. Clare huffed that everyone would soon find out what it was. At Society, Chelsea became irritated when Adam was immersed in something on his phone. She distracted him with a kiss, and she grabbed his phone to check out her competition. Adam revealed that he'd been reading a business article about the rumored implosion of Arabesque, with divisions being sold off. Chelsea felt sorry for Cain, but Adam contended that Cain had gotten exactly what he'd deserved. Lily overheard and snapped that Cain hadn't deserved what the Newmans had done to him. Lily conceded that her ex had made bad choices, but Cain had been about to destroy the AI software before it had been stolen. Adam argued that Cain wanted her back and would say anything to convince her he was done with his evil ways. Lily reasoned that they all had regrets and wanted second chances, and Cain deserved the same. Chelsea wondered what had changed to make Lily defend Cain. Lily argued that she was just presenting the facts. Chelsea was confused because Lily had been vocal about her disapproval of Cain, but it felt like Lily had become his cheerleader. Lily swore that she was still very hurt and angry, but she'd softened because Cain was making a genuine effort to make amends. Lily questioned how her family could heal with the relentless public attacks from Newman Media, and she hoped Adam intended to move on to his next victim. Adam declared that what happened to Cain was up to Cain. Lily requested a ceasefire, but Adam surmised the Newmans were still in Cain's crosshairs. Lily pleaded that her kids were confused and hurt, and Chelsea piped up that it was all about how sincere Cain was about being willing to redeem himself. Lily insisted that Cain was determined to become a man his children could respect and love, and she asked Adam to ask Victor to back off to give her family a chance to heal. Chelsea urged Lily to talk to Cain about stopping the war he'd started. Lily opted to stick to her theory that Victor had been behind the AI theft. After she walked away, Chelsea hoped Cain would focus on trying to reunite with Lily and leave the rest of them alone. Adam wasn't optimistic, since he believed there was more Dumas in Cain than the man Lily was defending. Chelsea worried that Lily was setting herself up for more heartache. At the bar, Lily sipped a glass of wine and flashed back to the conversations she'd had with Cain since he'd returned to town, including him questioning whether she hadn't loved him as much as he'd thought. Over dinner with Cain at the Genoa City Athletic Club, Phyllis cooed that the wine was delicious. Cain indicated that it was from his cellar, and she toasted to living in style. She asked what the dinner was about, since he'd just been talking about rekindling the flame with Lily earlier, before suddenly deciding to move on. Phyllis surmised something had happened that had prompted him to ask her to dinner. Cain shared that he'd finally accepted reality, but Phyllis quipped that he didn't accept reality, he made it. Cain simply stated that he was attracted to her, and Phyllis loved it, but didn't trust it. She cited his history of changing his mind and going from one extreme to another, and she anticipated that he might change his mind again. Phyllis reminded him that he'd already jerked her around, so she needed to know what or who he'd put in his rearview mirror. Cain admitted he'd screwed up because he hadn't been in control like he'd thought, and he had to deal with the fallout and figure out a path forward. Phyllis recalled that he usually ricocheted from one side to another after Lily rejected him. Phyllis theorized that he'd created Dumas as a shield while he'd built his empire, but the line between Cain and Dumas had blurred when his success had skyrocketed, and he didn't know who he really was anymore. Cain remembered Colin saying on his deathbed that Aristotle Dumas was just a name and not a person, and the mask would burn into Cain's skin if he wasn't careful. Cain continued that his father had urged him to tell Lily and the twins the truth, but he hadn't been ready, and it had been arrogant for him to think he could tell them in his own time. Cain imagined that Phyllis found Dumas attractive, and she confirmed that she liked Dumas's vision and go-for-broke attitude. Cain informed her that he intended to bury Dumas forever. Phyllis protested that Dumas wasn't evil, and that he just went after what he wanted. Cain bemoaned that he'd wanted to create a legacy for his family to give them security and freedom. But all they saw was the lie, and he'd only succeeded in losing them. Phyllis assured him that he wasn't alone in the world because he had her, and she would never ask him to be someone different. She encouraged him not to kill Dumas and to embrace the blur between his two personas. Cain pondered how he could become the man he wanted to be for his kids if he maintained his cutthroat side. Phyllis argued that it was attainable because Victor had done it, and she encouraged Cain to fight for both his family and his empire. She added that she knew Cain, and he was too smart not to have a backup plan. Cain asked why it seemed like she also had a plan, and she replied that she always had a plan. He suggested she invite him up to her room for a nightcap to tell him all about it. In her hotel suite, Phyllis handed Cain a drink, and he prompted her to tell him about her campaign to take over the world. She reasoned that she'd had to figure out something new when he'd changed his plans, and she wondered if he would be interested in investing in a new endeavor. Cain guessed that she'd scooped up Arabesque for pennies on the dollar after stealing the AI software to decimate his company. Phyllis asked if Cain was trying to kill the mood, and he inquired whether she was trying to punish him. She clucked that he thought he'd earned things when he hadn't, but he thought she was the one looking for the shortcut. He crossed the room and hovered close to her before turning away to refill his drink. Phyllis swore she hadn't stolen the software, and her new venture had nothing to do with him. Cain called her beautiful, wickedly smart, and brilliant at the art of deception. Phyllis purred that they both were, and it was a match made in heaven. He confirmed that he was interested, and she had his attention. They kissed passionately. Meanwhile, Lily left a voicemail for Cain and apologized for things getting heated between them. She cried that he'd said things that had given her hope, and she'd found herself defending him. But then she'd thought about everything that had happened. She added that she needed time, and maybe he had the patience for it. But maybe he didn't. Frustrated, she hung up. Clare is desperate to find out Audra's past, but does it even matter anymore? On the Young and the Restless November 17th episode, Clare threatens Audra. She might have exposed her growing obsession with her. Clare didn't come back from Los Angeles with a lust for Holden. Apparently, she does have a lust for revenge on Audra. Clare asked Holden about his past with Audra. Y&R fans are disappointed in their secret because he shared a sanitized version. However, she has no idea what really went on in LA. But she's a smart cookie who knows there's more to the story. On Monday's episode, Clare and Holden bring Audra up as she walks into Crimson Lights. Audra wondered if they were a couple. Clare brought up the shadow room and asked if Victor would get his money back since Audra failed to seduce Kyle. Audra claimed that Kyle is obsessed with her, but she's wrong. Clare is the one who's becoming obsessed with her. She wants to use Audra's past as a means of ammunition. During their heated conversation, Clare asked Audra what it's called when someone accepts money to perform sexual acts. Holden tried to calm the ladies down, but it didn't work. Audra warned Clare to tread carefully, but Clare wasn't going to back down. She made it clear that Audra has no job and no family, but little does she know that Sally and Billy offered her a job, although that's on hold for now. Before their confrontation escalated, Clare pushed Audra and told her that she still hadn't answered her question. Then, Clare threatened Audra that everyone would soon find out her dirty little secret. Clare enjoys poking the bear, meaning Audra. She wants to find out about her past so she can use it against her. But why? Isn't it a little too late for that? What does knowing Audra's secret going to do for her? Clare doesn't want Kyle back, and she doesn't want to jump into a relationship with Holden. She ended up choosing herself in the end. So, why is Clare obsessed with Audra? It's not because she's jealous of her. She might still have an unhealthy fixation on getting revenge. We already know that when Clare gets obsessed with someone, it leads her down a dark path. That happened when Clare and her great-aunt Jordan tried to kill the Newmans. Should Audra watch her back? The last thing she should do is poke back, especially when she knows about Clare's past. Audra moves ahead. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Wednesday, November 19th, direct Nikki to give Clare a lesson about the Newmans' adventures past, while Lily finds comfort from a surprising source. Ever since Clare arrived in Genoa City, she has been playing catch-up regarding Newman history. She got Jordan's "They are all evil" version, and then she got Victor's "We are all saints and anyone who disagrees is just a jealous hater" version. Neither one is accurate. Now Nikki takes a crack at connecting the dots. She's usually better at separating fact from fiction and admitting when the Newmans are at fault. Unless, of course, it's about Victor. Then he's right and everyone else is wrong. But when it comes to Kyle, Nikki has a lot of experience with Abbott men. And how Victor feels about them. Lily may have defended Cain to Chelsea and Adam, but that doesn't mean she's ready to forgive, forget, and reunite. Lily seemed to be growing closer to Damien, but he got a knife in the back, so that didn't really go anywhere. Now, Lily finds a connection with Damien's best friend, Holden. He thought he and Clare had a future, but she's pulling back after the whirlwind fling in Los Angeles. So Holden is footloose and fancy-free, and Lily could use some lightness in her life for a change, considering Cain's latest mess with Phyllis Audra thought she had a future with Sally and Billy's new company. But that's looking less and less likely. So Audra has a new plan. Audra always has a new plan. Will this be the one to finally put her on top? The Y&R cast showed off their culinary skills. Michelle Stafford and her The Young and the Restless co-stars are a close-knit group. However, the castmates were recently in completive mode for one of the show's annual traditions. The Y&R cast is filled with many talented actors and actresses. Aside from putting on tremendous performances every day, many of the stars are also whizzes in the kitchen. Recently, the cast showed off their culinary skills in the show's annual bakeoff. Stafford, who was one of the participants, documented the fun in an Instagram video. For this year's competition, the actress opted for a blueberry puff pastry. Stafford was already worried about her dish, and her son Jameson's words didn't ease her fears. It wasn't your best work, but you might get a reward," Jameson told his mom. While Jameson enjoyed a sampling of some of the other food, Stafford showed viewers her submission. The actress agreed with her son's sentiment when it came to the dessert. "It's not my strongest, but let's see how it does." She remained hopeful. The star then mingled with her co-stars Elizabeth Hendrickson and Courtney Hope. While Hendrickson and Hope weren't official judges, they were impressed with the meals. Y&R newcomers Roger Howarth and Billy Flynn also took part in sampling their co-stars' delicious dishes. When Stafford told Flynn about her dessert, the actor said he loved a good puff pastry. Flynn told Stafford that he'd vote for her even though she doesn't think it's her strongest work. When Flynn did sample her dish, he praised her work with, "It's fantastic." While Stafford spent most of the video mingling and trying to woo the judges, she did get distracted. Michael Gracide brought his twin sons Bear and Arlo to the festivities, and Stafford couldn't resist their cuteness. "Hi, you want to take a picture?" she asked the boys who came up to her seat. "How did you guys get so cute? Because you're the Grazes kids," Stafford replied, as Gracide photobombed the picture. After all the food and mingling, it was the moment of truth in the bake-off. Unfortunately, Stafford came up short, and the winner was Y&R publicist Matt Cain. "Good for Matt. I'm happy for him." The actress pretended to be mad. Although Stafford will have to wait until next year, it was a fun event for her and the Y&R cast and crew. Y&R is lacking in couples to root for on the CBS show, The Young and the Restless. Phyllis and Cain hooking up was not on our bingo card for this year. However, we don't hate it, and we know that's not a popular opinion. But hear us out. It was shocking to see Phyllis and Cain get physical for sure, but their connection is undeniable. Watching these two be vulnerable, all while knowing they each have their own agenda, is what makes good soap couples. There's no question these two are out to screw each other over. Cain and Phyllis are only looking out for number one. That gives them a bond, especially since they are also outcasts and villains in Genoa City, making them even more interesting as a couple. We get it. Many Y&R fans don't see the chemistry between Flynn and Stafford. They may not have sparks flying all over the place, but there's heat with Phyllis and Cain. It's just not in the same way as other couples when Y&R was known for Love in the Afternoon. The CBS soap could definitely use some more spice, which the unlikely duo definitely brings to the table. Honestly, watching Cain and Phyllis hook up is more entertaining than some of the rest of the scenes lately. Over on Reddit, several Y&R fans were here for more of Phyllis and Cain. "I'm so here for Cain and Phyllis getting it on." Lily, Crystal Khalil, having second thoughts. And for Audra, Zuleika Silver, and Clare, Haley Aaron, getting into it. That is Y&R's to me," wrote a fan. Another fan said, "Phyllis and Cain really have excellent chemistry," while a different fan stated, "I'm not hating it." One fan declared, "Cain and Phyllis is absolutely the best thing about today's episode. Do not care about the Adam, Mark Grossman, Chelsea, Melissa Claire Egan, Lily discussion, or the Claire, Holden, Nathan Owens. Whatever they are, I know there's some major lies and shadiness between Phyllis and Cain, but dang! Figure out a way to keep these two together. Maybe just a good old-fashioned distrust to true love. Just do it!" A different Reddit thread titled, "I'm sorry Phyllis and Cain look awkward together," had a few Y&R fans come out as stans for Cain and Phyllis. "I think they're hot together," expressed a fan. One fan shared, "I think they make a hot couple, not awkward at all. The show needs a little spice. I like them. It's no forever or true love thing. They have chemistry, so why not?" Spilled another fan. Phyllis and Cain certainly have fans talking these days. We feel like they have the potential to be a hot Y&R couple in the new year. This is an unpopular opinion, we know, so let us hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Lucas Adams is facing a frightening real-life crisis as his sister recovers from a near-fatal head-on collision. Here's how the Y&R star is stepping up. Lucas Adams, who portrays Noah Newman on The Young and the Restless, faced a terrifying real-life emergency the weekend of November 15th, when his sister, Audrey Ferris, was seriously injured in a head-on collision caused by a drunk driver. The actor shared the news on Instagram, revealing both the severity of the crash and the long recovery Audrey now faces, as well as the immediate need for support for her family of 10. Adams posted a photo of the totaled vehicle on his Instagram stories, a devastating image showing just how close the family came to a fatal tragedy. In his message, he explained that Audrey suffered a broken hip and foot and will require extensive recovery time. Her husband, Josh, was also in the vehicle. For a family with 8 children, the road ahead is daunting. Adams shared Audrey's Venmo to help with immediate medical and household needs, writing that any support would be very much appreciated. His post immediately galvanized fans, colleagues, and members of the daytime community who wanted to help. Unfortunately, as often happens online, someone attempted to take advantage of the situation. Shortly after Adams posted Audrey's real Venmo username, a scammer created a nearly identical account to trick donors. Sadly, someone is trying to exploit the situation and created a fake account, Adams warned in a follow-up message. He emphasized that the correct account is Audrey Ferris, all lowercase with one S. His quick clarification protected countless fans who were trying to donate in good faith. Adams first appeared on The Young and the Restless in 2012 as a day player before moving to Days of Our Lives, where he earned 2 Daytime Emmy nominations for his work as Trip Dalton. He returned to Days in 2020 and stayed through 2024. In November 2025, Adams officially stepped back into Genoa City as the new Noah Newman, debuting in the November 4th episode. His return generated excitement among fans, but now, his focus is squarely on helping his family through an unimaginable ordeal.